I'd like to welcome you all to the Belgium Village Board meeting, 7 o'clock, Monday, January 8th, 2024. Do we have a roll call of officers?
Pete Anzia, Roseanne Guy, Don Gotcher, Sarah Heisler, Chris Clear, Rose Sowers, and Dan Wolf present.
Open meeting law compliance check.
Yes, we are compliant.
Will all please stand for a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I think we pretty much covered public input.
Unless there's public input on some other.
Or is there some other subject people want to talk about? If not, we'll move on to the Belgium Area Chamber of Commerce report.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Just a couple of things here. First of all, on behalf of the tourism committee, we decided to put up the welcome Belgium banners again on Main Street, and those have all sold again. So that's one update.
Including the orphan banner that's been sold?
The what?
The orphan banner, the
Yeah.
banner that didn't have a.
Yes, there's one left, so that one sold as well.
And there's
like
like
7.
Yeah, we have.
Oh.
Yep, they're all sold again. And then now we are working on Bergbrunnen, which I think I mentioned at the last board meeting. So this is our new event that we're going to be doing in Beekler Farms. The date is Saturday, March 2nd, and if it happens to be raining or windy or anything like that, the back date is March 9th. And again, thank you to Windsor Towing and Pinella Wood Products, who got 800 pallets delivered to Beekler Farms. So we're really excited for that. Hope you guys can make it. And then as far as the chamber news, we're working on our Brew and Chew, which is our big fundraiser, and that'll be held Saturday, April 27th at Beekler Farms. So I think that's about it for now. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then we'll move on to the village marshal report.
Okay, for December, it was a pretty slow month. Only had one dumpster violation and I issued 16 parking tickets. Other than that, there was no other complaints coming in or anything, so it's pretty quiet.
So some of the dog barking problems have been
That's
resolved.
all been taken care of. Actually, the people moved.
Oh.
Problem solved.
They were-
And
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Anybody got anything for the marshal? Okay, if not, we'll move on to consent agenda items. Make a motion to approve special board meeting December 27th, 2023. And
I'll second that.
the motions are made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion passes. Then we'll move on to new business. Approved plan commission's recommendation. So approved ordinance number 09-23 to amend 270-11D, 11.D, to remove slaughterhouses and stockyards as prohibited uses. Condition upon attorney's review. You reviewed all this
Yeah,
already?
the text amendment is rather simple. What's before the board is sufficient.
So the question I had was, by striking it all together, this kind of came up earlier, does that open the door for any size company, anytime to come in and put in a slaughterhouse as well, or is there checks and balances in place to prevent that?
So for this ordinance, it's removing the prohibition. And then the next ordinance has to be for allowing it as a conditional use in the district, so.
And I'll make a motion to approve the planning commission's recommendation. Ordinance 0923 to amend, removing slaughterhouse stockyard as prohibited uses.
second.
Motions are made and seconded. Any comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
We'll go on to 10B. Approve plan commission's recommendation to approve ordinance number 12-23, creating a conditional use to allow slaughterhouses and stockyard operation in the A1 general. Again, conditional upon attorney's review.
Is this the one we put in any conditional use restrictions, or is that
So,
next process?
so this is only for allowing it as a conditional use permit. The standards and the code already sets forth all the different things that you can consider when reviewing a conditional use permit application. That's something that would come back, the applicant would actually bring that back. If the board approves this ordinance tonight, then the next step is the applicant then has to submit the CUP application.
And at that time, we could impose restrictions or whatever.
Correct. Anything that's, that's, that's
Planning commission.
The plan
Plan
commission.
commission
would
approves
propose it to the
conditional
board.
use.
No, the planning commission approves the
Approve it all,
conditional use.
all right,
Correct.
okay.
If you guys approve it, this is the end of your role in this step.
Yes, for CUP approval, correct.
Do you want us to try to address anything right now, or is that not our decision right now?
Yeah, you have something to say?
Yeah.
We can try to answer some of the questions. Should we go
Why
to
not?
the podium too?
Sure.
We have to stay in too, or?
Did you sign in for the meeting?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
So I don't know, in answer to the question, I can answer the question about why we run a slaughterhouse when we have a wedding venue, because it is something that, it is SEMA, right? And, we have had people ask us that same question. So the way that we're structuring it, if we were to be able to do it, is, one should not affect the other. I mean, yes, is there gonna be a building on premise? Yes, but that building is, again, not gonna be working, how do I say that?
It's gonna be a block building.
A block,
away
yeah.
Away from the barn.
And it's not gonna have like flashing lights saying, welcome to our slaughterhouse. I mean, I'm kind of making a joke out of that part, but, again, if you heard me say before, if you didn't know what it was, you would never know what it is. So because I'm never gonna, we're doing so well with the event venue, with the weddings and events. We're growing all the time. Again, we're just looking at this as being another appendage to the business that we could do. It's my whole role in it is like, I like to take care of the weddings and venues. Brian, you know, when he grew up on the farm, he was raised with dairy, raised with beef cattle. We wanted to do this years ago, approached the whole idea when we did have more cattle on the farm. But it just wasn't time. We would not do this if it weren't for Daryl too, because of the fact that we're not gonna operate it. We don't know enough about it. Daryl's been doing this for since 1978. So when we've discussed this over the years, you know, we've kind of had a plan if we ever were be able to do this. How would we set it up where one wouldn't affect the other? And we talked about too, you know, like it's a 1 day a week thing. You know, ideally what we'd like to do, because of the ability to be able to bring the cattle in, process it ourselves, and then also do retail, we could do everything there, which would be great. Especially because of the fact there is such a demand for the slaughterhouses. I mean, again, you've heard me say, if you've watched the video or you've talked to me before, any cattle that we've raised, we used to be able to take them into Cascade or Key Wascom, things like that. But over the years now, it's becoming less and less where we have the ability to do that. So we're trucking cattle, making appointments for them 18 months in advance, even the ones that we raise, and we do still have, I don't know if you know this, but we do still have some cattle. We have, besides cattle, we have very few at this point, but we also have other animals as well. We're trucking them up to Gearing's, you guys have heard this one before
Yeah.
so far, right?
Yeah, Newton is.
And Newton. So again, it's hard because when you're, if you know anything about raising cattle, you know, they should be going to slaughter within a certain way. And, you know, sometimes you're taking them when they're too young and it's unfortunate. Sometimes you're taking them when they're too big and then the meat's not as good. So, you know, we have a little bit of ways of controlling that and then we know where our meat's coming from, things like that.
I think that's a big part of it too, is nowadays, a lot of people are looking for home raised animals. They want to know where the meat's coming from. They want to know where the product's coming from. So what happened is because of a lot of these places closing down or being booked out a year in advance, a lot of the people that raised 4, 5 cattle a year stopped doing it because they couldn't control when they were going to be ready and they weren't going to drive them an hour and a half to go get them taken care of. So there is a huge need for it.
Well, you bring up an interesting point, and this is a point I think I had addressed with you, Irene, previously. If this is a great concern, why are so many of these slaughterhouses shutting down?
Well, a lot of them, and actually, Pete was on the call when we were with we had a Zoom meeting with the state on Thursday. And a lot of them, people are getting older, they're selling their businesses, but instead of
So
selling.
they're aging out, it's
They're
not
aging-
necessary.
They're
Okay.
aging out, and then when they age out, a lot of the grandfathered fixtures in the building aren't grandfathered in anymore. So it costs so much to upgrade the buildings to the new regulations and things like that. Because believe it or not, there's a lot of regulations when it comes to the state, when it comes to slaughter, as far as how things are handled, how things are taken care of. It has to be done a certain way.
You mind if I just ask a follow-up question to your comments? So with such a high demand for slaughterhouses, how can we be guaranteed that what John was expressing as concern may happen? The growth, from my understanding, businesses like to grow and make money, so.
They do, but as far as for me, I'm only one guy. I can only do so much.
Like, how are we supposed to feel safe and?
They no different, they say, okay, we're gonna have 30 bars around here, there's only so many liquor licenses, if they say we can't have any more slaughterhouses, that's the board's decision.
And that was my concern too, that I was trying to raise, is like, what's the process after this, right? So how do we keep control over how many are allowed, how big they can get, how many come into town, right? So I think those provisions will still be in place going forward through the planning commission and planning.
And to your point too, I know you're worried about the smell. You got Layers Meats right in the middle of Campbellsport. You got Kewaskum Frozen Foods right in the middle of Campbellsport, or Kewaskum. You got Quality Cut Meats right in the middle of Cascade. You've got a lot of these plants that are like right in the middle of town. And it is literally, it's a one day deal. The rest of it's all processing. It's cutting up the quarters, or cutting up the animals, packaging them.
So then there is factual data out there with home property values within certain ranges of slaughterhouses with that in mind, right? So if homes are devalued, then do the residents sue the owner of the slaughterhouse or the village for allowing it to go up?
Do you know, like, where this information came from? Like, what kind of slaughterhouse they were next to? Was it a really big commercial type? Like, I'm just wondering.
It depends on the case by case.
Yeah.
basis, right? So I'm just asking a general question though.
We're basically gonna do the same thing we do at the lakeside. If their ponds get a little too smelly, we're gonna go ask them what's going on. And they have to take care of it. And we've done it with the canning factory, so we do the same with any slaughterhouse.
Sure, but that doesn't address the property value change potentially. And my initial question.
I'm not sure that's really a thing. But your property value going down because you're close to a slaughterhouse? I mean, you're still quite a ways away from that farm. I mean,
I don't think so.
people might not want to buy your house because they're,
You were pointing before, why don't you go to, industrial park? I want to go to industrial park when I got 54 acres to put my, you don't have 54 acres to do that on your property. right?
Yeah, but I also moved to the village because I didn't want to live next to a slaughterhouse, and there's rules that protect that.
There was 100 animals before that, before I thought about doing this with the snow, man.
Right, but it wasn't a slaughterhouse, right? So.
I actually feel like, I mean, now you can take my word for it, you know, if you know me, and I'm the type of person that I'm very, I critique everything I do. And it's very, there's no way in heck that I am going to even consider putting up something that's going to, you know, put any kind of, restraint on my wedding venue, or my venue in general. I mean, it might be the prettiest spot you ever saw. I mean, it's gonna have, we could put up fencing, we can put up trees, we can make it so you can't even see it, but, you know, basically, what it comes down to is, you really should not be affected. I wouldn't even consider this if I thought, we're all about community, I mean, we really are. And we would never consider doing anything that would put any kind of negativity, we don't want to do that, negativity on the people that live around here. We count on you guys to support us with our events that we do. I mean, if it's not for you guys, we'd be out of business. So, you know, this is just, again, another something that we want to do that we're hoping will also help the community. And you're gonna say, so how does the slaughterhouse help me? Well, so what we want to be able to do is, again, slaughter, process, and do retail. So eventually we want to be able to, you know, have a store.
Small,
You know.
small store, but you got the campgrounds right here, you've got a lot of different things going on where you know, stop in and grab a steak or something for the night. You can do that.
But I mean, and I totally understand where you're coming from. I respect what you guys want to do, and I don't have a problem with you guys wanting to do it. It's the problem is, where is it zoned? You know, for this couple right here that lives down the street, you know, when property values do decrease because of it, even if it doesn't look bad, even if it's just because the name, there's a slaughterhouse next to a residential area and it decreases properties. And I want to sell my house and I can't get as much for it because the village decided to put a slaughterhouse in, then what happens?
But I think we're all going on speculation, right? Like, we don't know that for sure it's gonna happen.
You don't know that.
You know, but we don't know it's not, right? But there are so many things you can implement into this building. I mean, okay, if it's just the fact that it's covered the slaughterhouse, it's a slaughterhouse, so that's gonna decrease the value of the property.
It's gonna be a brick building, yeah. You
I mean-
you wouldn't even know it's gonna be a slaughter.
But I can't tell future home buyers that.
Yeah, but I guess I wanna know what is the issue that is creating the property value go down in these places? Is it because people hear noise? Is it because they have a smell? Is it because, I don't know. So, I mean,
What, I guess, what is the basis that you came up with that the property values went down? Where's the?
Because I know commercial appraisers that have done appraisals on areas where slaughterhouses exist.
So.
We also have an underwriter here who underwrites for insurance companies, and they see that stuff as well. So those would be my points of reference.
so you have seen property values gone down in the area, in the underwriting?
We don't really look at appraisals and underwriting, but I do look at, we won't insure slaughterhouses.
Sure.
Because of how dirty and unsanitary they are, and.
See, I wish we would stop talking about it being dirty and unsanitary.
The state's gonna be here every time you kill an animal.
I don't know what you guys have made of that, because that's like, take that completely out of your mind, because I'm sure we did not,
Put a slaughterhouse is because the animal's getting killed there, otherwise you call it a butcher shop. I mean, we had to do the right terminology to say it was a slaughterhouse. There's gonna be a kill for it. You gotta kill the animal, you process it. I mean, we're at the state,
When the state talk, they say harvesting animal. You want to say a nicer name for a harvesting animal instead of slaughtering, you're still killing it.
But we had to put the word slaughterhouse in because that's what was, that's how it was stated in the ordinance.
So I think if you're gonna go to scale of like a meat cells, for example, that's probably not an issue, but if you're gonna expand in any way.
Yeah, I
that would be-
I don't want to be any, I don't want to be close to the size of these. I
They don't control.
don't want any size.
Yeah,
You don't slaughter there either.
No.
yeah. And we really have no, so I know you're talking to us saying, oh yeah, you can tell us anything you want. You say that now, 5 years down the road, maybe you're gonna change your mind. They have to okay it. And,
There'll be steps in there.
yeah, I mean,
That's the conditional use part of it.
yeah, we just want something smaller. You know, basically, like you said, what, 15 cows a week,
Yeah, 15 cattle, 15 hogs.
you know?
Well, the concern I have is, and perhaps I misheard that, once if we do sign off on this, that, we have then relinquished our ability to control it any further. It's strictly on the plan commission. Did I not understand that correctly? So,
Within the or guidelines of a conditional use, the planning commission is the one that would approve conditional use and set the conditions. With that being said, the head of the plan commission is the village president. There is also one automatic board member on the plan commission. Not that that's a majority, but yes, it is an appointed commission by you guys. So you guys control who's on the plan commission. So not completely without control.
And if you wanna know more about the planning commission, go to this meeting.
Can I say something?
Yes,
I worked at Quality Cut Meats for 4 years. I didn't work in the large, slaughtering the large animals, I worked in the poultry end. I don't know where this is coming up about smell, and it's dirty, and it's unsanitary. I don't, use it. I worked there, I smell, there's no smell. Unsanitary, you got state inspectors in there all the time. You got state vets in there. They're not gonna do that stuff, they're not gonna let that fly. So I don't know, so it smell and dirty, I don't understand where that's coming.
And we may have touched on this already. Maybe not today, but, for those of you who don't know, you know, anytime you slaughter, there has to be a state inspector there. You cannot, and you can't even bring in an animal that's like injured. You can't bring in an animal that can't walk in. You can't, the animal has to be in healthy condition. And then again, the state inspector is there from, you know, start to finish. So, you know, you have, as Daryl said, the SOPs, SSOPs, that you have to follow that are in place. So, you know, they're not gonna allow you to keep running if you're not following these rules that are put into place. Anything you want to add on that?
Another thing Rosie said, you know, is one of the reasons why people are getting out of this. I mean, for one thing, they're sticking, you know, I don't know what you guys kind of think of what's, I mean, this project is gonna be $1.5 million project. It ain't no little Mickey Mouse or little cardboard box and where to start butchering animals in there. I mean, it's a big process and you need good help, you need everything. I mean, it ain't like it's gonna be, you know, some Mickey Mouse operation like I see. I mean, it's gotta be state approved, everything's gotta be, you know, kill force gotta have so much. I mean, Joe can talk on this more. I mean, state art coolers, everything is gonna be temperature, you know, climate and stuff, right?
Yeah, as far as all the off-wall and everything else like that, it's all gotta be contained inside the building. It's all, that all has to be during the week when we're processing, that's all under refrigeration. So there's no smell to it or anything. It's all inside the building.
So Brian, you just alluded to a good point that, you know, it is quite an investment, right? So when you have that kind of investment, you probably like to see a return on your investment, correct? So the more animals that you can process, it might not start out that way, but if you're set up to do it and grow on a larger scale, I wouldn't blame you for doing it, because that's what you probably want to do, correct?
But they got control of that. Yeah, let's talk about that earlier.
It's
It ain't gonna be a factory
It's not-
product,
it's
all of a
not
sudden
gonna
we're
be-
gonna sell it, we got this ball rolling, now they're gonna give me $4 million, I just got $1.5 million stuck in it, I mean, I wouldn't get rid of it, you know, we're doing it for the convenience of the small time farmers around the area and people like us that were suffering for how many years to try to find a butcher gate.
Sure.
Granted, everything's about money, I mean, you don't like doing anything, you like going to work and not getting nothing for it,
Exactly.
same principle.
So
So it's
you
a
look
bigger
at-
investment to make money, you know.
So all that land in the business park, that the land value compared to the overall project, that's not really, I understand how much land you have, but the cost of the land to move it to the business park isn't really the issue then, as far as like putting it into it properly, so.
No,
It's not allowed in any zoning right now in the village, and it would have to be set up as a conditional use in, say, manufacturing also to move it over there. So it's not like by doing this, you know, they can put it in a business district either. It's not allowed in the business district at all.
Thank you for clarifying.
I have one question for Brian. So you grew up on that farm?
Yeah.
Did you guys slaughter your own animals
correct.
and there wasn't a problem? Like you could a farmer in theory slaughter their own animal on their own farm and no one would know about it?
Yeah.
I mean, not that I'm suggesting that.
Oh, no, but you could, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah,
I mean, I know people who butcher their own deer in their garage, so I'm like, well,
same principle.
okay.
So would a state inspector be necessary for your animals?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's
Yeah,
no.
no, I mean, not our personal animals, if this didn't go through and we wanted to butcher 10 animals a year and hang them up outside and butcher them ourselves, no, there ain't no state inspector. Then we could bury the guts right next to your door and it wouldn't happen. My problem.
Done, all right, moving on.
But no, the state inspectors there, now the state of slaughter from beginning to end. Every day.
How many people are you guys looking to employ?
That'd be a good question.
I'm just curious, like, are you thinking that you're gonna?
Honestly, it'd probably be myself and I'd like to get 3. So it's.
Well, then obviously like a business, I'm assuming you're gonna have someone building them like that as well.
Okay, yeah, exactly, you don't.
That's what I said.
He has a contract based. But everything has to be, like, you can't just. hold it. Yeah.
All right.
You said some of the slaughterhouses that are going out of business now, their fixtures are too outdated and they can't keep up with regulations. What are some of those regulations they're struggling with?
Well, they're struggling with, number one is, some of it is the blood catch, like he was talking about, some of these, where it's allowing too much to go down, so they have to redo their catch basins, they have to redo things, which is ripping out concrete, ripping out floors. A lot of them are just the buildings themselves, the walls. I mean, I've worked in one where there was horsehair for insulation in the walls. I mean, you gotta start ripping out walls and replacing coolers, replacing condensers, replacing all kinds of equipment, to get grandfathered in. To do it, it's cheaper to build a brand new building than it is to try to update an older building in a lot of cases. And like, Pete was on the call and, you know, the guy from the state too, it's not easy work. It's hard work. A lot of people now, they don't wanna work. They don't wanna physically work. If they can't stroke the keyboard, they don't wanna do it.
I was just gonna say that, trying to find enough help to do it too.
Right, and that's why too, I'd like to keep it to probably 4 employees, because any other than that, it's hard to find, it's hard to keep people coming.
Do you guys do background checks on people?
Okay.
Background checks?
Yeah.
President.
Yeah. Because you're working with, you're operating, like, you know, machinery and stuff like that, so absolutely, sharp tools, yeah. I mean, we haven't implemented all this stuff yet because we're still trying to get it approved, obviously, but that would be something that we could do, yes.
I think for me, that's probably my biggest concern, if we have kids, you know, what kind of people it might bring into the neighborhood, like, sure, a lot of people butcher it, it's not an issue, but some people could be desensitized to some violent things, and it, you know, could be an issue, I don't know, not for everyone, but something that I read about doing some research, so.
Gotcha, yeah, I mean, I can understand the concern. I mean, if there's anything I can do to prevent something like that, I mean, you know, I mean, we're not gonna wanna hire somebody that,
Yeah,
if we know.
I just know how it is
that
too, like, I work at a manufacturing facility, it's hard to find good work, so you kind of take what you can get, and some of these people are pretty bad, and they should be fired, but we keep them because we can't find anybody else, so.
You've never worked for Brian before then. So Dan, question for you. When that roller chain business went in next door to you, did that depreciate your home at all?
Oh, because it didn't really change the aspect of what was zoned for over there.
So, I mean, I know in those meetings, you were really concerned about that being a downer for the village. You didn't really want it there.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, to this day, I still think that building could be better utilized for things in our community. You know, and at that same meeting, Pete, there was, the lady from Metal Arc Storage that was here. And this was a totally separate subject. I wasn't there for that, but she stood up and she's like, cause she wanted to get her land rezoned on the freeway. I can't get anybody. I tried to get Walgreens in here. I tried to get Quick Trip in here. Nobody wants to put up anything in Belgium. And lo and behold, a Quick Trip was in right north of that. So I wanna see the
The owners
future.
of that property over a year of talking to Quick Trip constantly to get that deal to go through. That was not an easy deal by any means.
And I'm not saying it is, but it's here and it was doable. But now along that whole stretch of freeway, we have storage sheds instead of other businesses.
I guess we have to just keep open minds on, you know, we have to move into the future with an open mind.
I
I know.
agree.
I know when Rich was president, it wasn't that long ago, that he tried getting businesses there too, and he couldn't find anybody. We've got a couple, but it's not easy.
But as Saukville expands and as Sheboygan expands and everything's pushing in the middle. I mean, there's new houses going up, there's fourplexes going up, the more people that come, the more need there is gonna be for, stuff like that.
So Bozeman can't go any more south
And we are.
than we are. So I'm not gonna jeopardize anything either in case down the road somewhere you want to sell some property, some houses or something like that. I mean, there's no way, I mean, that's not even something we're thinking about, but you know, we have no clue what we're gonna do with that property. We really don't. And so we're not gonna do anything that would jeopardize anything in the future. So, I don't know. I mean, I understand, like, I don't like what John brought up too, like, I don't know all of that stuff. That's you guys. So that's all something that John brought up. I don't know anything about that. So, I understand, totally understand everyone's concerns. I do. If I were on the opposite end and I didn't know much about it, I don't have the same concerns. So that's why I think this is great that we can all talk about it. And again, you're just kind of, some of the stuff is facts, some is knowledge, some is, you might just be taking my word for it, which is kind of punting, right? So, but again, I can tell you, I'm not even telling you much money we've invested in the farm already to get it to where it's at. But I can tell you, I'm not gonna invest that kind of money into doing something now. I'm only gonna try to make it better. We are only gonna try and make it better. And again, it's something we want to offer, be able to offer the community. You know, we've always been a bedroom community, right? Is it true?
Yeah.
Yes. Bedroom community, and as you said, more and more people are starting to come this way. So, what are some of the things that people talk about that don't want to come this way is because they're like, there's nothing there. Well, that's fine because, some of us like it that way. But we're trying to offer a little bit more to the town or village. So you have your own place where you can go buy your own meat. You have your little event venue, we're starting to grow. Belgium is starting to grow in so many ways. We have a Quick Trip, and we're super excited about it. So there's a lot of great things happening. We're just trying to make this one more thing some of the complaints. Look at a positive thing. Again, I know a lot of people dwell on stink, smell, carcasses, all that kind of stuff.
A lot of it's-
It's just because you guys don't know. I mean, did I grow up in one? I've been in them. I have been in them when we built a cattle. Have I worked in one? No. But I can't really how I've done talking to Jill, who's been doing this forever. You know, you're not gonna have to worry about those things. And I've even been talking to companies, like Northwoods, where they even have things where they've been doing all these testings in different places, like food places. I don't know, maybe even Lakeside has something like this too, I'm not sure. But where it's UV, I forget what they call them. Yeah, so if where you need, you know, something like that, I mean, they said there's zero odor. Now, this is something new, they just presented to me, they thought it would be something that, you know, I might be interested in the future. If that was something that came across that we would need to implement. But there's always things coming out that I think are definitely beneficial in helping with those kind of things, if that's a concern.
Well, I have to say that I have absolutely complete trust that you will do this, you know, a sanitary, discreet way. I have nothing to comment about housing value or smell or anything. Concern I have kind of goes back to what Pete said moments ago about we need to be forward looking. Belgium has an agricultural past and it should rightly be proud of that. And I'm not dismissing Brian growing up and, you know, doing what farmers have always done. But that was Belgium 30 years ago. Belgium since the early 90s has developed into a bedroom community, a more modern. I think we need to be more, I don't think we need to look towards our agricultural past. I think we need to look more forward. And that's just the concern I have is, I'll be frank with you. I believe that you will be humane with the animals. I believe that there won't be smell or sound. We'll never even know. But just the thought that when the word Village of Belgium comes out, people are thinking slaughterhouse. That bothers me, frankly. So I'm the only voice crying in the wilderness on that regard, perhaps, but that's kind of my concern is that it's backward leaning, not forward leaning.
And I appreciate that. I mean, slaughterhouse is a very grotesque word. I mean, after I did the video and I looked at it, I'm like, you know, why did I say that? Everyone keeps asking, why did you say slaughterhouse? I'm like, that's what it is. It's grotesque, it's a bad word. Or I should say, well, it is what it is, right? But at the same time, you can, and I'm not saying that any of you guys did this, but you can go on YouTube, if you want to Google anything, and you can see the most god-awful things that you can see. I just want everybody to dwell on, I want to make it so that people, I don't want to really even have to use slaughterhouse after this is all done. Like, I just use it because that's how it's written. You know, out. After that, let's just call it butcher shop. I don't even want to call it slaughterhouse anymore after this, you know, but, and maybe that word is what's getting people crazy.
I think that's a large part of it, because as I say, I don't impugn your intentions at all. I think you're all fine, upstanding folks. It's just that, yeah, when you see an image, Quick Trip, slaughterhouse.
Oh, then you have canning factory.
Right.
So first of all, thank you for the public input. I mean, I love the spirit of discussion. That's what we're here to do. Thank you to Beeklers and company for coming out to address the questions. Based on all of the conversation we've had, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to approve the Plan Commission's recommendation to approve ordinance 12-23, creating a conditional use to allow slaughterhouse and stockyard operations in general A-1 general agricultural holding district.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey,
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to ten C. Consider approve of commercial use for Power Motion Enterprises LLC at 658 Main Street. That's the Quonset hut that the village just was given. The building used to be the doctor's office years ago.
Right.
He wants to keep on fixing his bolts and stuff. And he's
The
willing,
current tenant, right?
yeah, he's the current tenant. He wants to keep on paying the rent he was paying, which
He actually did submit a check for January. I told him that we, the village would be getting back to him to, confirm this.
Yeah.
So
And then it's still a month to month or?
that's up to the village and how they want to do the lease.
there is a lease. I don't know, you seen it in the packet?
Yeah.
I mean,
Currently it's a month to month, $1,000.
Brad, did you happen to go through that at all?
Brad,
Yes.
you have a different.
I mean, the sample that you have in your packet, I mean,
It's a Wisconsin commercial.
it has different options for different, provisions for a lease. Generally, in commercial leases, the tenant's gonna be probably looking at something more than a month to month. You can go month to month, but usually you would have a time frame for giving that business an opportunity, more than, 30 days notice. So, certainly, I think the village should identify, again, you already, when you approve the donation, state is for a public purpose. That doesn't, part of the public purpose, you can still, for purposes of keeping this tenant for the time being, that certainly is fine to do that. But I think you also want to consider, the scope of the lease, the premises, because, there's a yard there. I'm not sure if, the public works could use the part of the yard for something. I think that's important though, because again, this is being put out, this property is now, this year will no longer be on the tax rolls, it'll be exempt. And the public purpose of having this property, we should also be looking at that, but you can obviously have several different things, including, a lease with the tenant.
But the current lease they're on right now, but they just renewed it at month to month.
Well,
So there is no.
We don't have a lease.
Oh, they don't have a lease.
They had a lease with the old owner.
Yeah,
So
there's-
we have to.
Nothing
determine-
transferred.
There's no written lease, there's a oral lease, so there's nothing in place with the current tenant.
I get a couple concerns, Well, intentionally, what the DPW would like to do is we'd like to move our brine tanks over in that yard up there, just because we got something in planning with the highway department, that they could, come into by the shop and fill up their, brine tanks at night when they're, plowing in I-43 this way. It worked good in Sheboygan County, Cedar Grove, the village of Cedar Grove was doing that. So we thought we would move our brine system over in our yard back there. So, when you get lease by lease, do we just say the building or? And all of a sudden down the road, we might want to say we need a quarter of that shop for storage, inside. So I don't know, can we do month by month and then, or do we go 6 months or a year?
Well, that was my thought, Danny. I mean, if we continue the month to month, as it was previously with the previous owner, it gives us flexibility.
Oh,
To
so that
Brad's
keeps
to
space.
Brad's point, you have to put in stipulated, it's usually like, whatever, 60 to 90 days. You have to give them, but you don't have to wait a full year either. So a month to month is what they're used to. I think at least until we figure out exactly what we want, and where and when.
Yeah.
If we continue the month to month, that allows him to keep operating his business. I believe they already are thinking of moving out anyway because of the risk they have, so that gives them time to look around and find where.
I mean, if it was working month to month with the previous owner, I don't know why it wouldn't work month to month for us.
Yeah.
Were you thinking of moving the tanks this winter yet?
No, in summer.
In summer?
It's
Okay.
just that the county will give us a better price
Yeah.
on the product
No,
that they give us and then,
I didn't know if that was
It's-
something you thought about doing,
oh yeah,
next week if it's
But
not
to Danny's
snowing.
point, I don't know, is the lease just on the building or is it on the?
well, yeah,
side
I
of it?
mean,
I'm not sure.
they park
They
up
don't
there,
have a lease, so we
Well,
can write
sorry.
whatever
So
lease we want.
can write it however they
Do you know what it was before? Was it on the building
There was no written
or
lease.
just the one that he had with the other
Well,
one? I don't.
just a handshake.
Oh,
We didn't have that whole property.
There was
There was.
We can make it whatever we want.
Where there,
So
parking is all of it.
Oh,
they
okay,
say we can make it whatever we want. We can tell them that you can get a quarter of the parking lot and we get the rest.
right,
I
Yeah,
mean,
I know.
we can state that. And I mean, it's our
yeah.
building.
If we just stick by a month to month, I mean, it worked.
Yeah.
Previous years with the previous owner, I don't know why it would not work for us.
I mean, I don't think they use too much right now. They just use the west side. They park a couple boats.
Well, both sides they do.
They do both sides.
Well, their employees park someplace.
Yeah.
But I
But-
do have a question. Do they have water and sewer in that building?
Yes.
So who is going to be responsible for?
Well, there's one water meter in there, one account, so technically who had the building before, he got the water and sewer, so I'm sure he figured that in their rent, so,
The property owner received the water.
so.
The property, you're right, so,
I mean, obviously, we gotta look what the electric bills are, I mean, that's, I'm sure it's a separate meter, we gotta see what, you know,
yeah, no, I just wanna make sure that I know,
Like-
is water and.
Like, was water and
all of
sewer
that
included in the rent?
In the rent.
Right.
Vicky, are you able, not tonight, but to look up what the water and sewer were kind of averaged on that property? I was just wondering like how much.
well, that's for the whole building, so it's not
Right.
gonna be
Oh,
broken
it's not
down.
just the
Oh,
one.
okay,
Yeah,
never mind,
it's
never
the
mind.
whole
That's the
building.
whole building, there were, you know, apartment
And that-
upstairs,
Oh, yeah.
downstairs.
And that changed by the month on how many occupants are there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Moving on.
So,
For clarification, this tenant was not under a written month to month, so just an oral month to month. So the village, unlike, the prior landlord, we need to have a written agreement. It could be a month to month, but it has to be a written agreement. There has to be certain things.
Mhm.
Some of the provisions that are in that draft lease that you guys have in the packet, and those are fairly standard, commercial provisions. If there's, a lot of times commercial leases are triple net lease where the tenant's gonna be responsible for paying all the utilities, paying the taxes. Obviously, this situation is a little bit unique because there's not gonna be any real estate tax related to the property, but there's certainly gonna be a factor with utilities, but generally, and there's an option in this lease that's in the packet that says, the tenant is gonna pay a flat rate. You build that into the rent, or you think it's covered with the $1,000 that he was previously paying. But we do need a written agreement, a written lease with him. There's some provisions that aren't in this sample that we have in the packet that I would want to add for additional provisions. We want a stronger environmental indemnity type language in there, and we need to clarify the premises. If it's gonna be the whole build, the front yard
Right.
and the full yard, or limit that.
Right.
But I think soon the board will want to consider other potential uses for that property, not just, for this tenant.
Why don't we figure out what we need for
Yeah.
storage outside for ourselves and then.
why don't you come back in February with,
And then tell them.
your ideas, what you
Well,
want?
yeah,
And we have not done anything with that check because I wasn't sure, does that obligate us by cashing the check?
Cash it.
Anything, or should I leave it, what do I do?
cash it.
Cash
Cash it.
Take the money and run. Let's go. Right. Into the order.
No, I don't think we have any interest in kicking them out. We just want to fine tune it a little bit.
Yeah.
Cashing the
Yeah, I
check.
know why that
No.
makes sense,
We
right?
didn't have any of the-
Right.
So
You could,
you can have a motion tonight to approve the $1,000 a month for this month. We're gonna come back next month in February with report, proposal for the village use. At that point, we can also clarify, what if anything's gonna change for a written lease for the property.
Yeah, I would like to have that in place, like, so let's drop the proposed lease, get it in front of the
Board.
lessee, have that all worked out, so when we come back in February, it's just a going on decision versus
Right.
lease terms.
I think the key will be what is the actual premises of the
DPW,
lease.
right.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so look at that.
can you
So as long
figure
as
out
we can
next
put all that
week?
together before February, that'd be great.
Can you figure out in the next 2 weeks what you want, and we can draw up a lease and present it to, Dan, the
That guy.
owner of it?
Can we talk more about that building it or just?
Yeah,
That's the
we
next
got
one.
more coming up.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so
But-
I'll make a motion
Yeah, I was gonna say, make a motion.
to cash the
approve
check
January
and approve it,
rent.
approve
at
the January
1,000.
rent at $1,000.
And I'll second cashing the check for January rent.
okay, motions are made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, Abstaining? Motion passes. Okay, we'll move on to 10C. Consider and approve a commercial lease.
Nope.
Nope, we did that already.
Dendy.
Okay,
You're
10D.
close.
Discussion and consideration of rental options for 650 Main Street. Okay, the Quonset hut is pretty much taken care of. We have a small office in the front southwest corner. We have multiple small rooms on the southeast corner. And we have a one-bedroom apartment upstairs. Do we have any interest in doing anything with them?
What's all occupied, any of it?
Nothing right now,
Not even the apartment?
not even an apartment. She moved out, I guess. Are we interested in renting that out? I mean, they were getting $700 a month up there.
What's in good condition?
I had.
I think we just need to.
Might have to paint it a little bit up. I mean, does it need any, major walls fixture?
I wasn't up there. Right, I was up there. Were you up there? Yeah, I was up there. It needs some flooring, but like all the refrigerator, freezer's fine. It looks, the stove looks to be, it looks to be a solid
One bedroom.
one-bedroom apartment that I would say with a little bit of TLC, some paint,
So you're thinking $500 we can make it look pretty nice?
pretty, yeah, absolutely.
Just to paint it and maybe put
Put
some,
a carpet cleaner on.
yeah,
Yeah.
so.
But, yeah, that,
I mean, we don't have a whole lot of rental places in Belgium that are open, and I'm sure we could rent it out real easy.
Yeah.
Who would be the responsible party for that property then? The village itself would be?
You know, we could appoint somebody on the board that wants to take care of the rental. I mean, I'll take care of the rental.
You know, the-
I mean,
Well, why don't you just let the village staff?
Yeah, the village
Staff,
staff.
the board member take care of the rental,
Okay.
but we get paid for it.
Yeah,
And
I was
we'd
just
have
gonna
to,
say,
we talked
I'll
previously
take
about, you know, other possibilities, or anything we'd have to do in terms of like commercial lease versus residential leasing
Right.
versus.
Are we allowing pets?
no,
But do you know what I'm saying? But right, but you need to have a
But to
lease,
businesses versus.
right?
but
We
on
have
that,
to have a
commercial
lease
versus
up for that.
residential.
on that
Different
bottom,
rules- different
bottom
rules
west side,
apply. Different, rules apply, what you can do with a residential lease, what you can do with commercial. Commercial is a lot more broader, residential is a lot more
Just in terms
restricted.
of the lease, though, there's nothing.
Right.
We can choose to do a residential or a commercial.
We could have a standard, a residential lease at the February meeting, if you want to look at that,
Yeah.
some of the
Yeah.
terms, and
Yep,
for example, like pets, you want to say we don't.
Yeah.
no pets.
I can bring a lease along that I have for my place.
well, Pete, Pete, you don't allow pets. What if we
No,
wanna
no.
allow pets?
No pets, no smoking.
No kitties?
There won't be
No.
any property tax, but so there is a garbage fee that is assessed on that property, one garbage pickup, and that's for the apartment. Garbage is not provided for commercial.
That 175 or so.
I think it's 168 right now
Uh,
for this year, so that.
We need to include that.
Paying, But, you know, no one's there for garbage needs right now,
Garbage cans out there.
But it's on,
but it's for the
on their
apartment.
tax, it's on the
Right, it's on the
property tax bill,
it's
so
on the
we,
tax
as part of the transfer of ownership, we
We
took
pay it.
responsibility for that tax bill. So the village will be paying for the garbage collection for the first year, as long, because it was on there. already.
Right,
So we will have one residential pickup at that property till December, and if we continue using it as a residential, we would continue having that.
right.
Garbage pickup, yeah.
So by February meeting, we can have a draft of a residential lease, and
Also,
then we just have to decide.
what we want in it,
What we want and.
right,
start
stipulations,
Advertising and for
right.
availability.
In the southwest corner, the lower one, there's a food pantry that would like to come in there. They need a 20 by 20. I think that's about the size of that room downstairs.
Where the old Belport was?
On the west corner, southwest corner. I mean, they're only looking to distribute food once a week. I mean, if we could get them in there, charge them a couple $100 a month just to pay for the light and electrics.
Is that the one that picks up here every Thursday or every other Thursday?
I believe that is the same people.
The same people?
Huh? Oh, I'm not sure, to be honest, I have.
Oh,
no
you don't
idea.
know? Oh, okay, I'm
I
sorry.
think this is combined with Sackville. They just built that new,
Was that?
Ozaki what?
Food Alliance.
Yeah,
That's not the family sharing, Tara?
I think that's.
Different? Oh, okay. I was just curious.
but you know, if we could, would we be interested in sending a line out to them to see if they'd be interested? you know,
Yeah, I don't see
we'd
why
have,
not.
we'd have to figure out how much to charge them, but,
Yeah, we have to,
because we gotta get
an
something for
idea of
that.
what kind of rent we want.
So, yeah. And then basically, you wanna look for somebody in the old doctor's office, which has a lot of small rooms. But, see if we can get somebody in there. I mean, all extra money for the village. I mean,
Like, first thing was first, we just gotta figure out what we want to rent for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the residential lease drawn, so. I'll make a motion to table this until February for further discussion based on drafting up a residential lease and further discussion on what we want to charge for rent for the various spaces.
I'll second that.
And then just one comment, with the board's approval, I would recommend then that we draft a policy that says, what you guys want us to do, like in the case of if they're delinquent on rent, how long
Sure.
do you want me to go before I send it to Brad for
Right.
action or, you know, just to set the
Right.
parameters of what you guys expect of us.
Sure.
Well, and I
That
think that should be in the lease too, right?
That'll be,
Yeah, I think that'll all be in the lease also. That information we should have that in the lease.
That would be covered in the lease, but I think what Vicky's stating is, from the village standpoint, like, there's some discretion with landlord, so.
Oh, yeah,
How
right.
soon do you want
Right,
staff to start enforcing? if there's
Got
a
it.
problem?
got it.
I give my tenants 5 days.
Just a suggestion, if you want to go to finance
Five.
and personnel, it sounds like there's a lot of little details to be ironed out. Maybe finance and personnel would want to discuss this.
Oh, yeah,
These details.
I think that's a smart one.
Okay. Okay, I guess it'll go to finance and personnel then, huh? We don't really need a
Sorry.
motion on it right now.
To finance and personnel, Julie.
Do we need a motion to do that?
Sure, but
I'll make a motion
To send the
to
lease?
send the lease right up to finance and personnel for all the little details.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded.
Articulate here.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Okay, we'll move on to discussion of village clerk position posting. I'm sure everybody heard by now wants to resign. It's up to us if we want a letter.
I say no.
hey,
All in favor of no?
The red mic is that,
Uh,
Julie.
Make a motion.
not accepted.
Unacceptable.
With Pete's approval, in order to facilitate moving this along, we did go ahead and put an ad in the press for the next 2 weeks because it would have delayed it if we
Right.
hadn't gotten it in today. I will be posting it on the village website and Facebook page tomorrow. We, in the ad, did not put anything about salary in there, just a list of benefits and what we were looking for.
I figured they could contact you for that, right? Or contact.
Yeah, well, we'll do the same process we did when we hired you to, you know,
yeah, we'll go to finance and
Does the
personnel.
League of Municipalities have a
Yes,
career
and my
page? Okay,
clerks, my
okay.
clerks, so
Yeah.
I will send it there also.
And I can also post it with the Treasurers Association also.
I do have a question. What if we don't get someone in time? Is it something that you're going to be able to help with?
Well,
The
as part of
election.
my job description, I am the deputy clerk, which means that I have to do it. in
Okay.
my absence.
All right.
However, if you don't hire somebody, you are going to be looking for a treasurer deputy clerk also.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But no, I mean.
Nice try, Rosie.
I
you know,
tried.
Julie is leaving at the end of the month. I would, on my own, without having discussed this with Julie, suggest that you maybe see if you can entice her to help out part-time. If a
Yeah,
little bit after that, just because training, so I'm assuming we're not gonna get anybody in by the end of the month. Because just the logistics of it.
right.
I don't know where enough stuff in Julie's office is in that, and unfortunately, this is one of my busiest months of
Right.
the year. So it's not gonna be easy for me to
Right.
learn everything. So if you could entice Julie to come back limited to help train the new person, that would be
And that could
awesome.
be something that's on your guys' timeline. You know what I mean? Right, like,
If-
so like
if
when
you
you're
give
available.
Permission for her to continue if she's willing.
Yep.
Then Julie could work that out.
Yeah.
So I guess the main
I'm
question
not
is, would
trying
you
to
be
put
willing
her
to
on the
help us
spot,
out?
and, you know, she can talk about that and we can come back, but
Well-
I'm a little bit nervous about the training of the new person because I don't.
If
know
she is willing to come back to help do that,
Will you be willing?
will you be willing? I will definitely make a motion to approve that.
And would this be something that we should also address at, finance and personnel, because there'll be some details that need to be, or,
Yeah, I would recommend that. If Julie can agree to, is willing to agree to something, then we can bring that to finance personnel when you have that meeting.
Okay,
Okay, so,
But she has to be able to talk about that.
so we need to make a finance and personnel meeting scheduled yet. So,
well, you got a couple things you need to do.
okay. Anything else?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed?
Abstaining.
Abstaining?
I'm abstaining.
Okay, thank you all for coming tonight.